Hi everyone, my name is Julie. This is Keep Calm with Books and Coffee, and today I'm going to be doing my mid-June wrap-up. I'm really excited to have enough books to talk about today to do a mid-June wrap-up because last month I did not. I only read 2 books last month, so I have 6 things to talk about quickly, and I will talk about these in the order that I read them, and then at the end of the month, I will give you more details like stats, TBR progress, stuff like that. So this is just going to be the books and my thoughts for the first half of the month. The first thing I'm going to talk about is Steel's Edge by Alana Andrews. This was a buddy read that I was doing with a friend, and this was the 4th and final book in the Edge series that we've been reading. And in this, we are finishing up the series. This is the 4th and final book. The Edge is a series about a world that is similar to ours. We live in what would be considered the broken, where we don't have any magic, and then there is the weird that has full-fledged magic, think like full fantasy world, and then the edge is the space that happens sort of in between. There is a strip of land that people live in that has magic but not as much as the weird, and there are people that can travel between all of these areas. In the 4th book, we are following Richard and Charlotte, and this is sort of a classic soldier and healer type romance paranormal fantasy story. Richard is a soldier who has a grudge against slavers that operate in all 3 areas of our world, and he is trying to eradicate the slave trade. And Charlotte is a healer that kind of gets dragged into this when something happens to her family, and the 2 of them meet and decide to work together. Out of the 4 books that I have read in this series, I think this one is the best. I think it's the most well-paced. I think it has the right amount of plot for the book. A few of the other installments, I have talked about how there's too much happening and we have like too many plot devices that I think the story feels like it's going on forever because we get a big battle, big reveal, whatever, and it doesn't feel like the flow of this story is working as well. This one worked a lot better. I still think there is a bit of a pacing problem in here. We get to like the climax of the story in the middle of the book, and then we sort of go through another climax, but it's not as big as the one in the middle. So I still think it's a bit of a pacing problem. But I do think the Andrews, by the end of this series, have hit their stride as far as character chemistry and the things that they want to present in their worlds and develop and have as main focuses. You can tell this is sort of a trial run series for them, and then their other paranormal series are much better, but this one is still fun. You can still see a lot of the elements of their story building, their romance tropes, all of that in this. It's just not quite as polished as the rest of their series are. Next up was Sweep With Me by Alana Andrews. Again, reading a lot of Alana Andrews this year. And in this, this is a short novella. It's booked basically 3.5 in the Innkeeper Chronicles series. In the series, we are following Dina, who has an inn, and inns are sentient beings, sort of. They are alive in a way that inns are not. There's magic that keeps these inns connected to their innkeeper, and on the grounds of the inn, innkeepers are basically all-powerful. And this setup has been created because Earth is a bit of a waypoint in the galaxy. It's basically like the Atlanta hub of the galaxy, and that all kinds of alien species need to stop on Earth, and in order to keep all of that quiet and secret, inns were developed, and Dina runs one of these inns. This is a very short little interlude that kind of wraps up everything that has happened in the previous book with Dina, and kind of does some healing, some introspection, some kind of just downtime for her, sort of, after the very big events of the previous book that featured her. Because the book before this is about her sister, so the book previous to that. She just has a lot going on. And this kind of just does some both wrap up for that book and set up for the future going forward. And I really enjoyed this. It's centered around like Christmas and the holidays, sort of. It's centered around a innkeeper holiday that feels a bit like Christmas or New Year's. And it's just a really cute little time. It also kind of establishes more of her and Sean's relationship and what's going on there. Just loved this. this was my final reread. Now I get to read a new book that just recently came out in this series, and I'm really excited for that. So I will be moving on to Sweep of the Heart very soon. Then I started another buddy read of a series, and that is Written and Read by Anne Bishop. In this, we are following a bunch of different characters, but mainly we are following Meg, who is a young woman who has escaped from a facility where she was being kept, and she has entered what is known as a courtyard in this world. In this world, the others are supernatural beings that are much older, much more powerful than humans, and they run the world that is similar to ours, but more dominated by supernatural creatures. And there's all types in here. We have werewolves, vampires, but we also have other things that we are discovering. But Meg is a blood prophet, and she is escaping some people who have been keeping her basically hostage. So she kind of gets a job in this courtyard and starts to kind of insert herself into the community and become a part of this community as a part of her job. And then things go from there because there are people still looking for her and still trying to bring her back to where she was before. This has a ton of trigger warnings on it. I definitely want you to check that out if you are going into this book. There's a lot going on in here, and I personally really enjoyed it, but I can see where this would be triggering for some people. So definitely check out your trigger warnings in here. It's also more violent than a lot of other paranormal series that I have read, or just the violence is like more surface level, maybe. I still enjoyed it so much. I read this so quickly, was just devouring it. I love the world setup. I love Meg. I love all of our supernatural creatures that we are learning about, and I just kind of love the mysterious air around all of them. Like, we have werewolves, but because the werewolves don't want Meg to know about all their secrets, you also don't know all their secrets, and you're kind of following along on this journey that Meg is kind of slowly learning about the world, and so are you. I think after having all the pacing problems of the Edge series, reading this is much better paced, and the world building is a lot smoother in my opinion. We kind of get a lot of information, but you're kind of also getting things that you need, so it's very, I think, really well done. And Meg is just such an endearing character. There's a lot of themes of found family in here, and also kind of those like we don't like humans but we like this human tropes. So I really liked that. I loved this book. I can't wait to move on to the next one. I'm going to be reading it very soon. Next, I finally finished The Portrait of a Duchess by Scarlett Peckman. This is the second book in the Society of Siren series. I read the first book last month, immediately started this, and then just didn't finish it for like a month. So I've been slowly making my way through this, and in this series we're following our main female characters are women who want to advance women in this historical society. They want women to have better educational opportunities. They want women to be able to be apprentices. They want women to be able to make their own money and control their own lives. And this is very important to each one of our main characters. And this is sort of what they're fighting for, as well as what they are trying to live. So in the first book, we follow Sarah. And in this book, we follow Cornelia, as Cornelia has hidden for the fact that she is actually married for 20 years and has lived her life however she wanted. But now her husband has resurfaced because he, through a series of circumstances, has become a duke for Cornelia's childhood home. And because they are married, she could be the Duchess of her childhood home. And also, if she is married and he is married, they stand to inherit more money based on the will. So they decide to basically, even though they're already married, act out the marriage as a marriage of convenience, and also kind of reconnect based on their history. However, Cornelia thinks that Rafe has a, very different political history than her. She thinks he's actually working against her cause. Meanwhile, Rafe is actually a spy, and he has been working for a cause very similar to hers all this time. So the two of them have to kind of reconnect and get to know each other and find out what they've been doing for the past 20 years. I liked this much more than the Rakess. For me, this one just worked a lot better. The Rakess was good. I enjoyed it, but this one was just more up my alley for some reason. We have a lot of really good discussions in here about what Cornelia wants and how their relationship, they need to communicate about what's real and what's not. Cornelia has a lot of things that she wants Rafe to understand about being a woman and being Black in this historical society, and she talks about that a lot. I just really enjoyed this one overall, and had a good time reading it. I think it had a little more of the will they, won't they, like playful nature that I enjoy in romance books, whereas the Rakess, the first book in this series, didn't have that as much. So I just had a better time with this one and enjoyed it. So this one is like just a little bit of a step up for me. I'm interested in the next book, but Cornelia was probably my favorite out of the like 4 women that we have in this circle. So I'm not sure I'm gonna like that one as much, but I am interested to see how the sort of background story plays out. And I think our next book might be Sapphic. So I want to know. I want to know. It might be, it might not be. I don't know. Then the last thing I finished was Lore Olympus Volume 4 by Rachel Smythe, and this is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. I picked these up. These are so gorgeous. I love these so much. I'm so glad I started collecting the hardcover editions just because they are so beautiful. This is the art style if you haven't seen Lore Olympus around before, and in this we are following a sort of modern-ish retelling of Hades and Persephone. It's a little bit mixed between historical and modern. Like the mortal world is ancient Greece, but the like godly world is sort of much more modern with cars and cell phones and technology and stuff like that. And I really liked this volume. I felt like we got deeper into our characters. There's still a lot of mystery surrounding kind of the background of many of our characters, but we got into even more of Hades's background and sort of the background between some of the characters. We also got to reconnect. The past couple of volumes, Hades and Persephone have kind of been apart for a while, and in this volume they reconnect again, so I really enjoyed that. Overall, I just love this to pieces, and it is such a fun palette cleanser and a fun thing to read. I'm so excited when a new volume comes, and I don't think I had read any of this before, because I did read some of it on Webtoon years ago, so I don't know where this falls in like where I finished reading, but I don't think I knew as much about this one, and I didn't remember as much about this part of the story, so it was exciting to kind of read fresh content from this. Then the last thing that I want to mention is that I DNF'd a book this month. I DNF'd Gallows Hill by Darcy Coates. This was Brie and Rihanna. Who? The last thing I want to talk about is Darcy Coates' Gallows Hill. This was the pick for the Boozy Moms Book Club, or Not Your Mom's Boozy Book Club, that Cal and Brianna run over on their channels, and I started this on sprints with them and was having a good time with it. However, I put it down after the sprints, and then I was busy and reading other things, and I never went back to it. And then I just sort of saw the two of them both slowly devolve into not liking it, and I was like, this is a very long book that's not completely in my wheelhouse, so I decided to just kind of put it aside for now. I might go back to it someday, but even though I was finding it really fascinating at the beginning, I was sort of put off by what they were saying about it, so I just thought for now, with me being like up and down and slumpy, I'm not going to try to force myself to read this one. So that's like a DNF for now. But those are the 6 books that I had to talk about in the first half of June. If you have any thoughts or feelings, or you want to share anything about the books that I talked about today, I would love to hear it down below. If you don't have any thoughts and you want to let me know you were here, you can just leave me a horse emoji, because Rafe is a horse trainer in this book, and that's a big part of the plot. Again, this was very fun. Definitely, this one's fun. All of these were fun. All of these were very good picks so far in the month of June. I've had a really good time. But that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see me again, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below, and I will see you next time. Bye.